At Brian Reed's wife's funeral, he gazes into the distance, his heart filled with complex emotions. Memories of his former comrades, those who once ventured into the darkness with him, flash before his eyes. They exchange silent glances, as if understanding each other's thoughts. "Brian, are you okay?" A deep voice breaks the silence. It's his old friend Jack. "Yeah, I'm all right." Brian nods gently, his eyes profound. "You know, I've been thinking, can we do it again?" That exhilarating feeling, it's unforgettable. Jack's eyes twinkle with challenge. "Do it again?" Brian smiles slightly. "You mean?" "Yes, that target." Jack's eyes gleam. "The Hatton Garden safe deposit." Brian furrows his brow slightly. He stays silent for a moment, then nods. "All right, let's do it again." After the funeral, Brian gathers with the other thieves to seriously plan the heist. They sit in a dim corner, each lost in their own thoughts. "This plan needs to be foolproof. We must ensure everything goes smoothly." Old man Tom frowns. "Yes, we're not young anymore. We can't take too many risks," Jack adds. "But we need an expert, someone who can deal with the alarm system." Alan raises a crucial point. Just then, a young man walks over, his gaze sharp, the demeanor of an expert. "Are you guys looking for an expert on alarm systems?" he asks. Brian and the others widen their eyes, a sense of joy surges within them. They've finally found the talent they need. "Yes, we could use your help." Brian smiles. "What's your name?" "I'm Basque." The young man confidently replies, "I can solve your problem." The thieves' confidence in Basque grows. They begin to discuss the plan in detail. Each person offers their suggestions. They work together to meticulously design every detail. "So, when do we act?" Elder Tom asks. "Easter holiday." Brian ponders for a moment. "People will be on vacation then. We'll have enough time." The thieves unanimously agree. The plan will be executed during the Easter holiday. They are full of anticipation for the heist, their hearts brimming with hope for the future. On the Easter holiday morning, a ray of sunlight streamed through the window into the thieves' dim hideout. They got up early, preparing for today's operation. "Seems like everyone's a bit nervous." Alan glanced around, furrowing his brow slightly. "Of course, we're nervous. This isn't child's play." Tom took a deep breath, his tone serious. "But we're prepared. This time we'll surely succeed," Jack said excitedly, trying to boost everyone's morale. Brian stood silently on the side, a hint of hesitation in his eyes. He knew the risks of this operation, but couldn't deny his inner desire. "Let's hurry. We need to reach the target location before sunrise," Basque urged everyone, holding a carefully prepared toolbox. The group hurriedly left their hideout and slipped into the bustling streets. They were dressed as gas workers, moving swiftly to avoid attracting too much attention. Finally, they arrived at their target location, the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company. The building towered into the sky, solemn and majestic. "Let's get started," Brian whispered softly, a firm determination rising in his heart. Bass quickly took out the toolbox and began disarming the alarm system of the safe deposit building. His movements were skilled and swift, without any hesitation. Tom and Jack started drilling holes in the wall outside the building, preparing for entry. They held the drill bits, inching their way into the hard wall, every move extremely cautious. Meanwhile, Alan kept watch on the surroundings, ready to respond to any unexpected situations. As time passed, the sky gradually brightened, casting a mysterious hue over the building's silhouette. "All set," Basque announced quietly. Everything was ready. The thieves worked together to place a jack in front of the safe's door, ready to push it open. But then, a sudden loud noise shattered the silence. They looked at each other, feeling a sense of unease. "Is something wrong?" Tom asked anxiously, his face showing tension. "Bad news. We've been discovered." Alan warned loudly. People around were starting to notice the unusual situation. "Retreat," Brian ordered. They quickly packed up their tools and hurriedly left the scene. On their way back, the thieves looked at each other with a sense of inexplicable loss. They thought this operation would go smoothly, but they didn't expect such an accident. "Brian, what do we do next?" Jack asked anxiously, his voice tinged with disappointment. Brian remained silent for a moment, then took a deep breath. "We go back. This operation was too risky." The thieves returned to their hideout silently. This failed experience made them realize even more the difficulties and dangers of fighting in the world of crime. Basil meets with Brian, attempting to persuade him to return and complete the robbery. "Brian, you have to come back. This is our last chance." Brian turns around, looking into Basil's eyes with a heavy expression on his face. "I know, but I'm not sure if we can succeed again." "We can definitely do it, Brian. I believe in you." Brian refuses, then pulls out a piece of paper from his pocket with the locations of the most valuable safes listed. "This is the information you need. I'm opting out of this operation." Basil takes the note. "All right. Thank you, Brian. I won't forget your help." In return, Basil promises to give Brian half of the loot from the robbery. After leaving Brian's hideout, Basil hurriedly returns to the safe building, filled with both nervousness and excitement. He knows this is their last chance, and if successful, it will mean a huge fortune. The thieves silently enter the building, moving like ghosts in the darkness, carefully avoiding any potential alarms. "Keep an eye out and make sure there are no surprises," Basil whispers urgently, his voice filled with urgency. "Don't worry, we got it," one thief replies, eyes scanning the surroundings vigilantly. With Basil's command, they smoothly enter the vault, opening one safe after another. With each box opened, the jewels and stacks of cash inside sparkle, bringing joy to their hearts. "It's a big haul," Jack exclaims excitedly, quickly stuffing the treasures into bags. "We need to hurry, time's ticking." Basil urges, knowing they must leave the scene quickly to avoid attracting the attention of the authorities. The thieves quickly pack the £14 million worth of jewels and cash into bags and hastily leave the building, speeding away into the night. The thieves hurry to the home of one of the thieves, their hearts filled with anticipation and excitement for the loot. This was the culmination of their long-planned scheme, and now it was finally time for distribution. How should we divide it? Tom surveyed the group, raising the critical question. "According to our original agreement, everyone should receive an equal share," Alan said solemnly, his voice carrying an unmistakable resolve. Basil stood silently aside, his brow furrowed slightly, a sense of foreboding creeping into his heart. "But we've all put in different levels of effort, so the distribution should reflect that." Jack offered another perspective, trying to secure a larger share for himself. Amidst the discussion, Basil suddenly realized an unsettling truth. The older thieves seemed to have never intended to give him an equal share. Anger and resentment welled up inside him. "I refuse to accept this injustice." Basil's voice brimmed with anger and struggle. He knew he had to take action to protect his interests. "What are you going to do?" Tom scrutinized him, a hint of caution in his eyes. "I'll handle it myself," Basil replied without hesitation, then stormed out of the room, his heart filled with unease and anxiety. The other thieves didn't realize Basil's true intentions until they began dividing the loot. When they discovered Basil had already left in haste, taking a portion of the wealth with him, they felt a sense of unease and dissatisfaction. Meanwhile, the authorities received reports of the robbery and swiftly launched a high-profile investigation. They carefully reviewed all the CCTV footage in the area, striving to trace the footsteps of the suspects. Before long, they spotted a car parked at the scene, and upon tracing its ownership, they identified one of the thieves. Through tracking the license plate, the authorities uncovered the thief's true identity, successfully monitoring the actions of the entire criminal syndicate. Upon learning the value of the stolen goods, Brian attempted to compel the gang to split it evenly, claiming his role as the mastermind of the heist. He stood in the center of the room, gazing at the others with a solemn expression, his eyes flashing with determination. "We must divide this fairly. It's the agreement between us," his voice firm and indifferent, exuding an undeniable sense of authority. "Brian, you're just one of us. You can't take it all for yourself." Jack's voice brimming with resentment and anger, he retorted without backing down. The faces of the other thieves betrayed hesitance and uncertainty. They knew this was a dangerous standoff, yet they had to face the reality. "We can't let you monopolize all the wealth," Alan coldly stated, a hint of vigilance and mistrust glinting in his eyes. Amid the heated debate among the thieves, the authorities learned of their planned meeting and the impending distribution of the stolen goods. They immediately sprang into action, arresting the entire gang during their gathering. Brian was not invited to the meeting. He was apprehended at home by the police. Standing at the doorway, he watched helplessly as the officers handcuffed him, filled with regret and helplessness. The only one to escape unscathed was Basil, who had worn a disguise during the robbery and left after the Easter weekend, never associating with the older thieves. In the end, the elder thieves were all detained and brought to court. Clad in neat suits, they bore calm expressions, seemingly indifferent to their return to prison. They stood silently together, as if silently acknowledging Brian Reed as their unspoken leader. In their eyes, Brian was their true guide and mentor.